Hey guys, Hillary from Hillary Glouse here. How are you? Happy Thursday. Hope you're having a great week so far. So I'm gonna give you guys a couple moments to jump on. But I did want to say, I'm sorry I did not announce this live earlier. And I will really get better at doing that, I promise, because I know that you guys like to catch these live because they're great to interact with me live and get your questions asked while you're watching. So I hope wherever you are, it is a beautiful day. It looks like it's a great sunny day here in New York, nice and dry, not humid, knock on wood. And it's always a good day when my hair is cooperating and my eyebrows are just in peak form. Really happy about that. It doesn't take much to make me happy, but very happy about my eyebrows. Okay guys, so today we are talking about 3 things that you should never do again, that you should stop doing right now if you want to lose body fat, right? So the first thing that I want to talk to you guys about is gonna sound pretty simplistic. It's gonna sound pretty like, duh, of course, Hillary. But it's actually really not as straightforward as we think. So I did come into the group earlier this week and do a live all about this, but I kind of want to recap that slightly and add a couple of other things that I want you to stop doing if you want to lose fat to that list, okay? And I'm telling you, if you implement these things, if these are things that you're currently doing and you make a conscious effort to stop doing them, then it's really going to make a huge impact on your fat loss results, okay? So number 1 is you need to stop eating crap, okay? So stop eating garbage, stop eating junk. And when I say crap and garbage and junk, I don't just mean junk food, okay? So I think a lot of people are operating under this assumption that they eat, relatively healthy, pretty healthy. Obviously, they'll admit to the occasional indulgence or thing that's quote unquote bad, right? That's considered junk. But I think a lot of people don't realize that a lot of what they're eating in an attempt to lose fat is actually hurting them. And I think what we do often is we eat diet-friendly foods, based on what we hear, read, see, watch, who we follow on Instagram. We're just kind of grasping at straws, trying to piece something together that works for us based on all this other kind of conflicting and confusing information out there. And it's causing us to fall into this pattern of eating foods that are really not doing us any favors in the nutrition department. So not only do you have to eliminate certain foods temporarily on a fat loss plan, especially if you are new to the fat loss game and you've been struggling for a long time and you're finding it really hard to control portion sizes, control your cravings, avoid feeling hungry all the time. It's really important that certain foods are taken out of the equation. So those are things like really high glycemic, starchy, refined carbs. So, your typical pastries, your treat foods, really sugary, high fat, high carb, highly palatable foods. Those need to be removed from the outset immediately, because those in our diet, even in the smallest amounts, can really increase cravings and can make compliance on a fat loss diet so much harder. So you know how it is when you're really gung-ho and you have all the motivation and willpower in the world to do really, really well during the day, right? Your morning and your afternoon eating is on point. And then maybe you get really busy at work and you skip a meal, you skip a snack, and before you know it, it's dinner time and you're absolutely ravenous and you just can't get enough of the things you shouldn't be eating. And our mind has this funny way of convincing us that those little episodes don't really count, that didn't really happen, that we're actually eating healthy overall. And the problem is that this just perpetuates this cycle. So we never really kind of escape out of that cycle of eating really good at the beginning of the day while our willpower is strong and that battery is completely full, and then kind of falling by the wayside and essentially having to start over every single day. So I want you to stop eating those crappy foods that you know are not doing you any favors, especially if you want to lose fat. If you don't want to lose fat, then there is room for those foods in your diet right now. And it's not like you're never going to eat those foods again. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you can't have the foods that you enjoy. But it is imperative that if you want to lose fat, you temporarily eliminate those high glycemic starchy carbs temporarily, that you temporarily eliminate dairy, anything that's going to cause inflammation, anything that has a tendency to exacerbate cravings, eliminating that off the bat, getting strict and very procedural and prescriptive with your diet is going to be very instructive in teaching you what your body can tolerate and what you actually can control in terms of your cravings, all right? So thing that you should stop doing, number one, is stop eating crap, okay? So just become more aware of what you are actually eating, right? Those little bites here and there, those little, afternoon trips to the vending machine or the bodega or, those happy hours and all these things, like these things add up, right? So just keep tabs on that and be conscious of it and take ownership of it, because if you don't take ownership of it, then it's going to keep creeping up and it's going to keep putting blocks between you and your goals, putting obstacles between you and your goals. So let's remove those obstacles as best we can. All right. And another way we can do that is by stopping starving ourselves. So I mentioned how a lot of us have this belief that skipping meals or like going long periods of time throughout the day without eating is somehow virtuous. And what happens is we do that and we get to the end of the day and our willpower is completely spent, right? That battery has completely depleted and we have nothing left. We have nothing left to help us to resist the temptation or the lure of the pantry or the refrigerator late at night, and we end up eating kind of one continuous meal from dinner to bedtime. And we regret it, and we wake up with kind of that lump in our stomach, and we're bloated, our belly's distended, we feel full even though it's the beginning of the day and we haven't eaten anything. And it's just a really crummy feeling. And that only kind of encourages us to want to skip meals. But I want to warn you against meal skipping and going too long between eating, all right? And this is because our metabolism does not respond well to long periods of without food. Okay, now I know you've probably heard about intermittent fasting and you might be curious about how that works. And that essentially is long stretches of time, 12 to 16 hours, in some cases longer, of no eating. Now that is an advanced protocol that is really for people who are at a goal weight, right? Are at a place where they feel happy with their fat loss goals and they kind of want to kick it up a notch for a short period of time. That is a more advanced technique that most people are not going to benefit from, and a lot of people, because of their unique physiology and their unique cravings and metabolism, are not going to respond well to. So I want to kind of temporarily eliminate that idea of intermittent fasting. So let's not even go there. So in general, if you want to lose fat, you want to be eating more frequently. And what people are doing is they're eating too infrequently, and they are essentially working against themselves because it causes the metabolism to really slow down because it's not getting frequent enough calories, and it causes these hunger hormones that help us to identify when we're full. It it turns them off. It makes them less effective. We are less sensitive to them. So we often, once we do eat, we overeat to compensate, okay? So I don't want you to do that, okay? I don't want that to happen to you. I don't want you to starve yourself. I don't want you to operate under the assumption that skipping breakfast, that skipping lunch, that skipping dinner is an essential way to lose fat. We think that skipping meals is going to help us to consume fewer calories overall, but as I've already mentioned, there's so many reasons why that is a failed theory. It just does not work in real life, okay? So stop starving yourself, stop eating crap. Number 3, stop confusing healthy eating, a healthy diet, with a fat loss friendly diet, okay? So there is a big difference between eating a healthy diet and eating for fat loss. And I am going to make that distinction for you right now. So most Americans, most people in general, probably claim to eat pretty healthy, pretty clean, relatively healthy. My diet is healthy, whatever that means, right? There's a different definition of healthy for everyone. So first of all, that's a problem. Number 2 is that pretty healthy typically is based on a flawed model of what it takes to eat to lose weight. So people think that they are eating a healthy diet when they're starting their day off with, glass of orange juice, some cereal, some toast, right? This model that we've sort of become accustomed to seeing because of commercials and the media and kind of who is paying for the advertising, we've sort of got this idea ingrained that a balanced breakfast includes mostly carbs. And that couldn't be farther from the truth, okay? Starting your day off with carbs is, in most cases, for most people, a recipe for disaster. Okay? And a lot of people think that eating healthy means eating 3 meals a day. But a lot of people don't make time to eat 3 meals a day, just like I was talking about earlier. They end up skipping their midday meal. Their meals are very far apart, or in some cases, they're too close together. And it's just not a healthy way to eat because it doesn't allow you to really get control over your hunger. Your hunger has control over you when you wait too long between meals. And the next time you eat, you're completely ravenous, so you really feel like you have no choice but to give in to your cravings, and you end up eating more than you intended to. So another thing is, if most Americans insist that they eat relatively healthy, then it would make sense that if that were the case, fewer Americans would be overweight and obese. But the reality is 2/3 or more Americans are overweight or obese. So obviously not everyone is eating a healthy diet or is, eating a diet that is actually helping them to lose weight, which is ultimately your goal for eating a healthy diet for most people. So there's obviously something going on there. There's some kind of disconnect. So I want to kind of explore that a little bit. And it really comes down to the difference between healthy and fat loss friendly. So a healthy diet allows you to manage your weight, essentially. It is where you want to end up, not necessarily where you want to start. A healthy diet allows you to get the sufficient amount of vitamins, minerals, and nutrients, including fiber, to kind of manage the symptoms or avoid developing symptoms of chronic diseases like high cholesterol, high blood pressure, things like that. Allows you to keep those things in check, and it gives you adequate nutrients to function. However, in a typical healthy diet, the meals are more spread apart, and a lot more of the overall calories are coming from starch, coming from carbs. And so the ratios of what we're eating are off, and these ratios are not favorable for fat loss. So in a fat loss diet, on the other hand, this is a diet that is not only healthy in most cases, but is also going to help you to lose body fat, get lean, tone up, and actually look smaller overall, as opposed to just manipulating your scale weight, making the scale go down. Because if you're in a calorie deficit, the scale is going to go down. But what's going to happen eventually is it will catch up to you, because your metabolism will slow down and your body starts holding on to that essential fat, which is what we don't want to happen. So with a fat loss diet, you're not only getting those adequate vitamins, minerals, and nutrients, and fiber especially, but you're getting meals more frequently. So you're staying on top of your hunger, energy, and craving. So your energy is going to be more stable. Your blood sugar is going to be more stable. You're working with your metabolism instead of against it, because your metabolism it comes to rely on that regular influx of calories, so it knows that it doesn't have to dip into muscle and start consuming muscle instead of fat. It knows that it's okay to burn fat. You don't need that essential fat to protect the organs, because a lot of times when we're starving ourselves, the body thinks that we are literally starving, even though we know that we're just trying to lose weight. The body can't distinguish that. So with a fat loss friendly diet, we're eating more frequently, and we're eating a larger volume of food. So we're getting more bulk in our diet without the excess calories. So a bowl of cereal, right, whether it's high fiber cereal or whatever it is going to not only have more calories coming from carbohydrates, but it's going to have more calories overall than a high fiber meal that's based around maybe eggs, egg whites, and lots of cruciferous high fiber vegetables. So if you made like an egg scramble with some sliced up bell peppers and some broccoli and spinach, that would give you the fiber without giving you the added calories of a bowl of cereal. Okay, so fat loss friendly, hey Lumi, fat loss friendly, more frequent, eating more frequently and getting more volume, so more bang for your bulk, as I like to say. So more bulk, more food volume, so you're actually eating more, you're getting fuller faster and staying fuller longer, eating less calories overall. All right, and then with a fat loss diet, you are getting more of your overall carbs from fiber as opposed to starchy carbohydrates, which is essential for fat loss, because carbs from starches are typically going to cause a negative insulin response. So your body releases insulin when you eat carbohydrates, and it is almost impossible to burn fat when the majority of the insulin in your body is carbohydrate induced. So you want the insulin response to come from higher fiber carbohydrates like fruits, low glycemic fruits and vegetables, as opposed to carbohydrates, okay? Because that is going to keep you more insulin sensitive, so that you can stay in fat loss mode and you can better control your hunger, energy, and cravings, all right? So we want to keep that insulin response low instead of spike it, which is what happens when too many of the carbs that we eat come from those starchy sources. All right, so that's all I have for you today. Those were the 3 things that you should stop doing if you want to lose fat. Again, just to recap, you're gonna stop eating crap, all right, and really look closely at your diet. Do a real honest inventory of what you're eating, when you're eating it, and that's gonna help you to really identify these leaks. Like, where is it that you're feeling most vulnerable and why, and what can you do to avoid those kind of snack attacks and that late night snack habit. So maybe it's increasing your fiber intake, water, looking at your stress, looking at your sleep, okay? And then stop starving yourself. Skipping meals, eating too little, going on a 1,200 calorie diet with no rhyme or reason is not doing you any favors. It's going to help you store fat. It's going to help you to lower your metabolism, which is no bueno, okay? And then 3 is stop confusing healthy with fat loss friendly. A diet that is healthy is not necessarily going to help you to lose weight for the reasons I described, but a fat loss friendly diet is almost always healthy and is going to help you to lose fat because of the ratios that your calories are coming from. All right, so I hope that was helpful, guys. If you have any questions, leave them below. And finally, before I wrap up, I want to invite you to join me for my upcoming webinar. I'm hosting it twice. It's on Thursday, May 24th at 8 p.m. and Friday, May 25th at 2 p.m. These are Eastern Standard Times. It's nutritional no-nos. So we're going to be talking about 3 healthy habits that you swear by that are actually working against you. So with that, it's different from the 3 things that I told you to stop doing or advise you to stop doing today, but it's 3 things that I'm sure you're doing. Most people are. They don't even really think about it, but they're actually shooting themselves in the foot. They're actually working against themselves by doing these 3 things. And so I'm going to share with you what those are and what you can do instead to help you get back on track to achieve your fat loss goals. All right, so sign up for the Nutritional No-Nos webinar. The link is in the description of this video. If you have any questions, you know where to reach me. Talk to you guys soon. Have a great Thursday. Bye.